Hello, hello. How are we doing today? Welcome in to Player Profiler. Today, I'm your host, Tyler Knably, your Monday host. And if you remember last week, we talked about who is going to get paid first, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, or Jamar Chase, and kind of the falling out implications of kind of the first domino to fall. And the first domino to fall today was Justin Jefferson. So we'll be hopping into the details of that contract. We'll also be hopping into, maybe some just some other stuff from around the league. We got CJ Stroud's top 5 quarterbacks. We got this Kirk Cousins, Saquon Barkley thing. We may even touch on some Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs kind of news that we're hearing out of OTA. So that's all coming up right after we hit a little mini bumper, little intro for you guys before we hop into it. All right, let's just dive right into the first topic. The big one, the thumbnail of the show, Justin Jefferson finally gets his freaking bag. 4 years, $140 million, $35 million a year average, $110 million guaranteed. That means it's 79% of that money is guaranteed. And if you remember last week, we talked about kind of that percentage. We broke down Amon-Ra's deal and AJ Brown's deal. And AJ Brown's deal, he got 88% of his total money guaranteed. Granted, that was a 3-year deal, so a little bit of a shorter deal. I think it was $33 million a year, 32 or 33. I can't exactly remember. I should have had that in front of me. That's bad planning on my part. But kind of interesting that I thought that. I think, I thought JJ could have maybe even got a little bit more guaranteed. I mean, 79% still a crazy good deal, but I was kind of expecting it to be, maybe 85 plus, maybe 90 plus. Just kind of, I feel like he could have commanded that kind of money, maybe even taken a little bit less money if he wanted to get the whole thing guaranteed. But obviously, it's the highest non-quarterback contract in NFL history, and just a really interesting sort of development. And I want to pull up the total breakdown here. Sorry, I really should have had this prepared, but I just thought of it right now because I just thought about it because I'm just talking about it. But I did see the Spotrac breakdown for JJ. So here I have it right here. Let me pull it up. And so this is the contract breakdown. If you can see here, look, I got Jason's background going here. Let's do this. This might be easier. You know what? That's not it. That's not it. All right. Let's just roll this. So if you can, I'll just read it off. But if you can see, I can actually do a little bit. Okay. Let's do this here. Right. Oh yeah, there we go. See, I'm fast on the sticks. But if you look at this, it's kind of interesting. So next year, his cap hit's only going to be $15 million. Like $15 million. Let me get rid of this ad. $15 million for a player who is a top 1 wide receiver in the league, at least top 3. Like $15 million cap hit. 2026 is going to be 39, then 43, so 47. So going on the last year of his deal in his age 29 season, Justin Jefferson is going to be making $47 million. And they could actually cut him. They kind of set this up where, if you look at it, his dead cap's going to be $7 million. They'll actually save $40 million. Actually, this other $6 million here. So they'll actually save, they would save 7 plus 6 is 13. 47 minus 13 is 30. Jesus. Let's do this math together. I can't do that math that fast. 7 plus 13. 47 minus 13 is 34. So they'd be saving $34 million if they cut him in 2028. Just kind of an interesting topic on top of it all. So, and Jamie, this is not pre-recorded. This is a lie. That's the only thing we do things around here. That's actually a lie. I definitely did pre-record one episode, but thought I'd just share that so let's go back full screen here. So just kind of an interesting breakdown on the JJ contract. And I think the next part of this is kind of what you've been seeing on Twitter is, what does this mean for CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase? Now, CeeDee Lamb, I think, is the one to pay attention to because he's a free agent after this year. If I'm Jamar Chase and I really want to, kind of get as much money as I can, I'm probably waiting until next offseason when the cap's probably going to go up because it's the NFL. Cap always goes up. He can probably get more money than he could this year. Probably get like $6-7 extra more $1 million depending on how much the cap goes up. So I think it's smart for maybe Jamar to wait till next year. I don't know if the Bengals want to do that, if they're going to try and get that deal done this year. I don't know if he wants the deal right now, how much money he wants. It all kind of depends. So it's going to be interesting to see if Jamar makes more money than Justin Jefferson. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb. I feel like CeeDee Lamb, he had an unbelievable season last year, but is CeeDee like straight up receiver, are you taking CeeDee Lamb over JJ or Jamar? I feel like most people would say no. Maybe for fantasy you would, but like straight up wide receiver, would you rather have is CeeDee like the clear number 3 on that list? I think it's up for debate. And it's just I think it's going to be interesting to see what CeeDee does, because he could go into the next year of his contract. Like after this year, he could legitimately be a free agent, like actually. And same thing with Dak. Dak technically doesn't have a new contract either. So the Cowboys have a interesting decision coming up for them. In the next coming months, are they going to extend Dak? Are they going to extend CD? Or are they maybe just going to, kind of restart? Maybe they keep one of the guys. It's going to be really interesting. Like, is CD worth 30 plus million a year, 35 million a year? That's a question for Jerry Jones. So I just think it's a very interesting topic overall. It's only fitting that we talked about this last week, and then a week from then is today, and JJ gets the deal. So we kind of dove into that last week. If you want to kind of hear my full thoughts on that, you can go check that out on last week's Monday episode of Player Profiler today. Now, the next piece of news I want to touch on is the Kirk Cousins and Saquon Barkley tampering case. It is reported, and we kind of heard this before the draft, that there was going to be some punishments, I think, for both of them, a lot more severe for the Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons side of things. It's very, I mean, I'm obviously the resident Falcons fan, so I've kept up to date on this, and it sounds like day 2 capital is what we're expecting for the Kirk Cousins thing. And I don't know if they just lose the pick, or if the pick goes to the Vikings. I'm not really sure how that works, or if, I think the Vikings can reach a Vikings and Falcons can reach a trade, kind of how the Cardinals and the Cardinals and the Eagles did, last year, I think, over Jonathan Gannon. So a lot of interesting stuff going on there. I wonder, because obviously Kirk kind of outed himself in the press conference and was like, yeah, I was talking to the head trainer on my way down here, when you're like actually not supposed to be doing that. So I wonder if that's all it was. If that's all it was, I can't imagine it's going to be that severe, but it sounds like it will be severe, which kind of leads me to believe that the Falcons may have tampered with Kirk Cousins before the actual free agency. Maybe Terry Fontenot, Raheem Morris talking back and forth. I'm not obviously sure on that. I guess we'll see kind of what punishment comes down. But yeah, so that should be interesting there as well. Jamie says, you have a best ball show coming up in 30 minutes. You be grinding. Yeah, we do, at 6:30 p.m. If you want to come watch us draft some new puppy underdog superflex teams, you're more than welcome to come do that. Again, 6:30 over on at PPR Tyler on Twitter, at PPR Tyler on YouTube. Also, too, you might be seeing a little bit of that on this channel. There's more to come on that, I think, in the coming weeks. But also, Jamie saying they don't need Lamb when they got Flournoy. Exactly. Jason Allwine's guy, Brian Flournoy. I've definitely drafted him in a couple of best ball leagues. So, yeah, I wonder. It should be interesting to see how the receiver room shapes up in Dallas. Like, what does the receiver room look like in Dallas next year if they let CD walk? It's going to be Brandon Cooks, Ryan Flournoy, and who? Maybe they go after T. Higgins. I think that would be interesting. But, I mean, I don't know why you would pay T. Higgins and not pay CD Lamb. So, a lot of interesting things coming out in that area, too. Also, kind of staying with the Cowboys, Larry Allen passed away today at, I think it was age 51. So really sad. I think on vacation with his family, he passed away. So that's obviously some news we had to cover. Just kind of acknowledge that. Very, very sad. Larry Allen, one of the best O-linemen of all time. Obviously has that iconic bench press clip of him, kind of setting that record. So that was obviously really just one of the big things he did. Obviously a Hall of Famer. And I saw a clip of him today of him chasing down a DB after an interception. Like, dude, I just feels like he was kind of an athletic guy. So, RIP to Larry Allen. Next piece of news I want to hit on, CJ Stroud he's just in the media all the freaking time. This guy does not stop doing either the show he has with Parsons. He'll go on other podcasts. He was on $1 million worth of game recently with Tank Dell, who it just seems like him and Tank Dell have this obvious connection. We saw it last year. All he does is talk about Tank Dell on his show, and then he goes on $1 million worth of game with Tank Dell. Like, if I'm buying any receiver from that Houston offense, it's Tank Dell, because he goes around later after Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs in redraft best ball underdog league. So I'm definitely getting some Tank Dell in those leagues. And speaking of underdog, let's hear a word from the Podfather about underdog before we dive into CJ Stroud's top 5 quarterbacks from the 2023 season.
This episode is made possible by Underdog Fantasy, and Underdog Fantasy is the leader in best ball. When you go to join an Underdog Fantasy best ball draft, it fills very quickly. Especially now, it's Best Ball Mania season, baby! Best Ball Mania 5! I can't believe they're at Best Ball Mania 5 already. $15 million in prizes. They're giving out $15 million with $1.5 million to first. Playing in best ball leagues makes you better. It helps train you on player value and strategy. And Underdog offers a lot more than just best ball contests. They offer pick'ems. My new favorite, the golf pick'ems. But they have the NBA pick'ems, baseball pick'ems going on throughout the offseason. Hit the pick'ems, back to best ball, hit the pick'ems. So use promo code Underworld. Promo code Underworld gets you a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. So they've increased the maximum deposit bonus. It was $100. Now it's up to $125. When you get the Underdog app, use promo code Underworld and go draft your ass off.
Yeah, and speaking of drafting our ass off, I'm drafting my ass off every night. Again, shameless plug at PBR Tyler on YouTube. Go toss a sub over to the boy. Really appreciate it in the meantime. Okay, let's dive into CJ Stroud's top 5. These are his top 5 quarterbacks from the 2023 season. Very, very interesting list, and he kind of even backtracked it a little. So the first one, this is in order. This is the in order of what he said. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Not really a shocker there. It's honestly just like good that he put him there because that would have been the big thing that he would have got ripped for. Number 2, the MVP Lamar Jackson was his number 2 quarterback. Number 3 was himself. Put himself over a lot of other guys that I think we wouldn't put him over in real NFL. And then number 4. Now this is where it gets kind of tricky. On the show he said Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts at number 4, and then Dak Prescott at number 5, over the likes of, Justin Herbert, over the likes of Joe Burrow. Now, he did say that Joe Burrow, he would have put Joe Burrow on the list, but he was kind of hurt too often. Like, he was just hurt the entire year. And this was kind of like his, not in the game right now, like who had the best, I think, 2023 seasons kind of thing. So that's why he didn't put Joe Burrow on the list, but he put Hurts on there. And then on Twitter, he took Hurts out at number 4 and put Josh Allen in at number 4. But he says he thinks he's better. I think pretty sure he just straight up said that he's better than Josh Allen. That could be a misquote. Don't quote me on that because I could be misquoting that. But he did put himself over Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts and Dak. So kind of interesting. Where do you guys think that CJ Stroud is in the top quarterbacks? I know a couple weeks ago we kind of broke down our top quarterbacks on the list, kind of the starting quarterbacks in the league. I think I had Stroud at number 5 or 6. I can't really remember because I know I had him over Herbert because he's already got a playoff win and Justin Herbert doesn't have one. So I think I put him over Herbert, but it's really interesting just that whole thing because CJ Stroud's been in the league 1 year and he put himself over Josh Allen. And I think a lot of people were surprised to see Dak on there, over Justin Herbert, over who's another guy, like maybe Aaron Rodgers or someone like that, So very interesting what CJ Stroud's list. It's always funny to see these NFL players. The same thing in the NBA where it's like it feels like if you everyone's like, wow, they let the NFL players vote. They do let the NFL players vote on that top 100 list that comes out every year, and it's always like the worst freaking list you ever seen in your life. There was a year they put Mac Jones over Kirk Cousins. Like it's just always been the worst freaking list of all time. So that's why they don't let NFL players vote on awards. It's why they don't let NFL players vote on anything. Same thing in NBA, any sport. The media doesn't get it right either. We as the media don't get it 100% right all the time because, there's just some biases that are always going to exist with people who do have a vote. And letting NFL players vote is not the answer. But we're kind of getting away from off topic. But let's dive into the last 2 pieces of news that I have for you. The first one, Bijan Robinson is he kind of said an interesting quote today. So I'm going to kind of combine Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs here. So Bijan Robinson came out today and said that he thinks he's going to be used like Christian McCaffrey is used in San Francisco. Now that it's obviously really good, but it's more of the way he said it was he's going to be more of a runner this year and then he can kind of do everything else after that. But I think it's going to be more of like a bell cow running back kind of thing where like how they use Christian McCaffrey. Like Christian McCaffrey isn't catching as many passes as he did in Carolina. He's just not used in that way. Christian McCaffrey is kind of just used as like their downhill runner. And I think that's what they're going to use Bijan Robinson as this year 2 in Atlanta going into year 2. I mean, he has the size, has the speed, has all the talent in the world to kind of like, would it shock anybody if Bijan Robinson like was the best running back in the NFL this year? Like, I don't think that would shock anybody at all. Like, he has all the tools to be that, but it just sounds like they're going to kind of use him as a runner more than kind of what he was last year, where it felt like he was a lot more gadgety, like kind of just like used in that gadget role where like, he's getting split outside. He's playing a little slot. He's getting a lot more passes than he was carries, which I think for fantasy, we want to see carries. We want to see carries inside the 5, inside the 10. Touchdowns is what matters for running backs at the end of the day. You can get all the yards you want, but if you're not scoring touchdowns, which Bijan really wasn't last year, then it's not going to matter. So I think interesting piece of news coming out today about that, where he's going to be used more as a runner than kind of what we saw last year, where he's a little bit more involved in the passing game and, kind of more of a gadgety player. Not to say that he won't catch passes this year, but I think we're going to see that volume maybe come down a little bit and really see him be like a actual running back who is going to get, 16, 18, 20 plus carries a game, which is something we didn't see a ton last year. But when we did see it, like, he was electric. So that's going to be interesting there. Now, on the flip side of that, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think it was the running backs coach. Someone had a quote. I forget exactly who said it, but Jahmyr Gibbs is expected to have an increased role in the passing game. So kind of a little bit different, like the exact different vibes there, where Jahmyr Gibbs, he was involved in the running game quite a bit last year, but sounds like they really want to get him like really, really involved in the passing game, maybe coming out of that slot position, like actually having him line up in the slot more than we saw last year. So that's going to be very interesting to see kind of how that whole thing transpires with Jahmyr Gibbs. And like, is that going to involve, it's weird because like you think like, oh, he's going to be more involved in the passing game. Like, that's awesome. But how many touchdowns is he going to get? Because I mean, David Montgomery kind of feels like their goal line guy, and Jahmyr Gibbs got some goal line carries last year. Not to say that he didn't, but I don't know. Like, it feels like we could just like a little Chase Edmonds ish, where like Chase Edmonds, he got some carries there. He got some, targets. And again, Jahmyr Gibbs is a way better player than Chase Edmonds. This is a completely different offense. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a fantastic player, but being drafted like at the end of the first right now in best ball, I'm not to say that I won't draft him, but it does feel a little high for a guy who maybe might not score that many touchdowns this year. That, again, that's really TBD. But the first player I thought of when I heard this news was kind of the David Montgomery side of things, where is David Montgomery, really just going to be the guy that on the ground, getting all of the, like probably like most of the carries, getting most of the goal line touches. Like, I think David Montgomery is kind of like the forgotten man in this backfield, where like he still starts. Like, if you watched any Lions game last year, even down the stretch, it was like David Montgomery's going out there first. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs, like almost like wouldn't even see the field on like the first drive. Then Jahmyr would come in, do his thing, catch some passes, explosive plays. That's kind of Jahmyr Gibbs' game. He's just an explosive kind of player. But it will be interesting to see how they use those two backs kind of going into year 2, because I think we could see kind of a different split than what we saw last year. Because I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs he's just another year in the NFL, has another year under his belt, so he's not going into, maybe they just try to keep it really really minimal for him last year, so he didn't have to have to know too much, like just kind of let him go out there and be him. But another year in the NFL, I wonder if they really do use him kind of in a different way, where like maybe we see David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs on the field together a lot more than we did last year. And what does that look like for fantasy football? I think we could see a little bit of a different, kind of a different split than what we saw last year. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs playing slot, that wouldn't shock me. It may be in 11 personnel, they just throw Jahmyr Gibbs on one side of the formation in the slot. They have a Monroe on the other side, JMO, and then they got, I don't know, Donovan Peoples-Jones at the X. Like, it should be interesting to see if they don't have that much like receiver depth. So it would make sense if Jahmyr is just, lining up as a straight receiver more this year than what we've seen in the past. So keep an eye out on, maybe the news coming out of Detroit and how that running back backfield is shaping to kind of come into form as we approach training camp, as we approach closer to the season. But that's all I got for you guys today. I'll be back next week, next Monday. I'm sure we'll find something else to talk about. Maybe one of these other receivers will get paid. Jamar, CD. We'll probably have some more, mini camp OTA news coming at you. But until then, until next time, we'll see you then. Everyone have a great rest of your night. Again, 6:30 in 10 minutes, we're going live on PPR Tyler. Make sure you come hang out, and drop a like, drop a sub. Drop a like and a sub on this channel, especially. We're growing. I think we just hit 400 subs on this channel. So thank you to everyone who has tapped the sub and tapped the like. Make sure you drop a comment. What's your top 5 quarterbacks? That's a good one because I think everyone's got a different top 5. I think after Mahomes at 1, it's really up for discussion. Like, I think you could put Josh Allen at 2. You could put Lamar at 2. I think you could put maybe even Stroud at 2 if you really want to kind of have a spicy take. But we'll see you next week, next Monday. Everyone have a great rest of your Monday night. We'll catch you later.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, Data Analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.